One of the many topics that we talk about in New England is asking the question, what is the church of the future going to look like? Well, we really don't know, but we might be able to get a glimpse from Silk City Coffee. It's a coffee shop, yep, it's located in Manchester, Connecticut. A couple of years ago, Gary Anderson, who was about to become the new city manager in Manchester, Connecticut, met with some folks who said that they had been praying for him. Imagine that. Some people from a church came to meet with a government official to talk about how they could help enhance the quality of their community. Well, this interview is with Gary Anderson and Tammy Gerhard. She is the co-owner of Silk City Coffee. We sat down at this coffee shop, so it's a little bit noisy in the background, but we had a great conversation about how this all came together and the importance of folks from congregations reaching out to their government officials and engaging them in conversation. But it's also a story about a ministry that became a coffee shop that became something more. I think you'll enjoy this unique, different kind of episode, episode number 14 of the Bishop on a Bike podcast. Thanks for listening. Enjoy.
I think soon after I started this position, Director of Planning and Economic Development for the town of Manchester, I think Silk City opened in, was it November, October? Okay, so like a month after I began working here. And I was really excited about it because one of the things that people have talked about for a long time in Manchester is the need for a really good coffee shop downtown. So I would make an effort if I had a meeting downtown, or maybe even if I didn't, to kind of stop in.
Which we appreciate.
Right, yeah. And I don't remember how did we meet? I don't remember that really.
I think we met at that planning meeting, the original one.
Did we meet at a planning meeting?
I met
okay,
you.
All right. So we met at a meeting, which I meet a lot of people at meetings. And then I think, I was coming in for another meeting and you just happened to be sitting there, I think. So I went over and we started talking about downtown and Manchester and family and probably church stuff, I'm not sure.
I think a pastor was on a basketball team or something team with you and walked by and opened the door to have a conversation about how you guys knew each other.
Okay. Oh, that's right. And I don't remember who that was.
Someone
to
in
be
your
honest.
town.
Yeah, it was
in your
somebody
town.
who I think my son maybe played basketball with or something like that.
Or something,
Yeah. And then we got talking, and then Tammy mentioned to me that the owners, and so there's two couples that essentially own the operation. Is that right?
Yep. So my husband and I own it, and then we gave partnership to Rob and Sarah, who are my students. I'm a school counselor over at Cornerstone for 14 years. Mm-hmm. And so they were my students since they were 14, and part of the larger story of the shop is, unbeknownst to us, their dream was to open a coffee shop in downtown. My husband and I were prayerfully considering open a coffee shop in downtown, and we were looking for the right people to open it, and so run it for us, and that's the sweet actual story. So the four of us do this together.
Okay. And they went through, in terms of getting this place up and running, they went through a lot to make this place look like it looks now, stuff that they never imagined they'd have to go through. So they've gone through that together. But anyways, so Tammy mentioned that there's a larger sort of group of people of faith in Manchester who meet from time to time. You can maybe talk a little bit more about that. I don't know about the details there, but one thing she said was, what are your needs? What does the town need? We want to pray for you. We want to pray for what the needs of the community are, and we're happy that you're here. We've been praying for you as well, and the town leadership. And I was taken aback because that I've never had a conversation like that before, I guess, with like that, and it was meaningful to me. And I went home and told Sarah about it, my wife Sarah, and we both agreed that's really what the church should be doing, is translating faith into community. And in my job, I have a government job, but hopefully I'm in tune with what the community needs and what we need to move forward, and what we need to make Manchester a better place for people that live here, everybody that lives here. And that was just, I think, a really authentic way for a group of people of faith to really connect with that, so that was why it was meaningful to me. And I've thought about that ever since. It's empowering to know that people are thinking of your work, praying for you, and that there's a lot of people that care about this community, but also myself individually and the other people in town that have the same sort of vision and are trying to make the town better. So.
And just one more thing to follow up with that. You, as a city manager?
No. I'm the director of planning and economic development, so city planner, yeah.
So in that role, I imagine most people that come to you are not necessarily always coming to you offering, by the way, we've been praying for you. Typically
Sure.
what you hear is...
Oh, yeah. You hear right. That's what the mayor likes to say recently, is you hear the people you hear that are the loudest are the people that aren't happy. And I think most people in Manchester love this town, love being part of it, but yes, you hear a lot of the other side as well, in my job in particular.
Right. So for somebody to come to you and say, we're so glad you're here.
Yeah, right.
Even if they don't add anything else to that sentence.
Yeah, you're not really even used to hearing thank you a lot. You hear it sometimes, but this is sort of another level, I guess. So. Mm-hmm.
So what's the thinking behind it? That's in other words, what we've established, that's an unusual thing for people in a community to communicate to their local town leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So we're unusual. We're peculiar people. We're unusual in the fact that this entire place was planted. So talking louder, this place actually was birthed out of prayer. So I'm a school counselor at Cornerstone. There's about 42 different churches associated with that school. So we've made a lot of organic contacts with people from a number of different church denominations all over the place, and very specifically in Manchester, when my husband and I felt like we were hearing a call to put this place in, to put a place I felt very strongly drawn to Main Street, that we would be part of revitalizing the downtown, that we were going to open a place that served as a catalyst for people to serve one another in love and help people tear down denominational barriers and just kind of come together for a common cause. That was the call I heard in my head. I actually did two things. We reached out to some really close friends who actually attend the Salvation, that's not our church, but the Salvation Army Church next door. There's a prayer room in it. And multiple churches now meet there regularly for prayer for Manchester. We reached out to churches to the north, south, east, and west of here and invited them to come in and really start praying before we even planted this place. And in that prayer room next door, I don't know if you know this, Gary, I literally wrote on a board that the Lord would use this place to bless the community, and that God would provide a person of peace within the government town that would be our person that would help us understand exactly what the needs of the people were. And so that's why when I met you, I was like, I think Gary is our person of peace. And so I reached out, I think, to you via email after we had that conversation. It wasn't even during it, other than to say, hey, I mentioned this to you. I kind of had shared the story behind the churches coming together, and we still meet regularly to pray for all the needs on the needs board for the town, people who run the government, and for the place. But I think I'd written out at that point saying, I'd like to take it a step further. I hope this isn't awkward for you. I would love to know if there are any prayer concerns that you know for the town. How can we bless you guys? We want to partner with you, that the Lord would bless Manchester. And I think one of the things that you mentioned that I still pray for is that the people already affected in Manchester would stop competing and start cooperating and see the gifts that are already there in each of the people and what they bring to the table, and start breathing life into each other's gifts so that those things would rise. Do you know what I mean? And so so that's just been sweet to me, because to me you're answered prayer. And we love this place. I mean, like, I really believe the Lord's favors on it, and it's just been super sweet.
Yeah, and you're doing very well business-wise.
We're doing extremely
right?
more than we could have imagined.
That's
Seemingly
awesome.
abundantly more than we could have hoped, asked, or imagined. Like, it's been beautiful, and the community's embraced it, and it's been really fun. Like, we are filled with joy to serve in this place, all of us, and so.
And this is an unusual place in Manchester. I don't know Manchester other than I'm here maybe every month just for visiting different folks for different things. But I mean, just when I drive down the street, and I actually remember seeing, that's a new coffee shop. But it's a little different in terms of what else is along this road right now.
Yeah. And downtown is really the heart of Manchester in terms of not only business-wise, but also like socially and culturally. So when I talk to people about downtown, that's a common way they describe it. It's sort of the heart of the town. It's the heartbeat. It's where people come to congregate and to talk about whatever it is, personal stuff or business stuff or town stuff or whatever it might be. And I think Silk City in particular has hit on one need of any community, which is a place to be together, right? A place to be together, and it's a comfortable place to be together. You know, I don't think that anybody really, you know, there's no type of person that comes here. I think everybody kind of comes in here and feels
just part of our goal. Just that anyone who walked through the doors would feel comfortable, welcomed, and loved. Like that is that's our mantra for our staff constantly.
So in the planning world, we call that place, this is really weird, we call it a third place. Yeah, it's not space. Home, it's not work, but it's a third place. And we continue to see that people are attracted to those places. And the idea that, the internet or things like that are going to have people not have that need anymore is really being proved incorrect. That we still have that need. And I think we see that in churches as well, as people have a spiritual need to be together, to talk about faith or struggle with faith or even everyday life, right? Yeah, wrestle with
together.
Life. And so that connection to me is really neat.
And so, Tammy, tell me about the Love Coffee, Love People board that's in the back.
Okay. So Love Coffee, Love People is kind of our tagline for the space. But that board specifically is an opportunity for anyone in the community to share a prayer or practical need with everyone else in the community. And then anyone in the community can come in, pick up a card, and go meet that need. And we've seen all sorts of things met. College tuition paid for a kid who lost their job, pianos given to people in music programs, rooms given, jobs given, rooms painted, grass mowed. You can imagine it. It's probably happened. On the board, I actually just refreshed the board and put all the cards in a scrapbook so people can kind of see what's gone on since we opened. The other thing with it is that those churches that I mentioned meet twice a week very intentionally as the multi-churches to pray over the needs. Like, we actually have a prayer room in the basement, so we meet here every Friday morning, corporate, all the churches together to pray for the needs on the board and the people and our workers in our town. And then we sell Love Coffee, Love People t-shirts, and 100% of the proceeds go, if something's on the board and someone's lost a job and they're looking for a job and it's been there for a few weeks, I'll call, check in on their story, find out if a grocery gift card or something would bless them while they're waiting for employment, and just leave them for them here. Managers sign out gifts to people. We've given away a ton of stuff to just people who really need it in the community. And so that's been super fun.
I bet.
So it's not only a third place, as you call it. And I heard that term somewhere along the way, so it's interesting to hear it come back again. And we've always had third places in our society, but now Silk City is a third place for a lot of people. But it's clearly a business. I mean, you have a
for-profit business.
People that you hired, you're running this. This is not volunteers just showing up whenever they want.
No, it's professional business, without question.
Right. And you're doing things like this prayer, I'll call it a prayer wall, but also the proceeds. So you're selling, and then if there's a need that's on that board, you'll take those.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we do is we do live music every Friday. So Friday night we're open till 9. We do live music, and at least once a month, if not twice a month, we'll do what I call give back nights. So we'll choose an organization that is bringing hope to the area, highlight that organization, let them share, sign up volunteers, do whatever, and then we'll do 20% of all the proceeds from 6 to 9 back to the organization.
Wow.
Just to bless them and let them expand what they're doing. So that's been really fun. We actually opened doing that. It was
What
like,
are some of the organizations that you've
we've done a lot. We've done MAC,
Okay.
obviously.
Manchester Area Conference of Churches.
Yeah, so they run food pantries and other things like that. We collect, when we did theirs, we collected canned goods and we gave back.
Yep.
We did work with the underground, so we're actually, as a family, working to put in a safe house for kids out of sex trafficking. So we partnered with them in January. We always partner, it's our second January because that's National Anti-Trafficking Month. So we do work with them. I've done simple things like PAST. Is doing a children's area summer theater program. So we bring them, the kids actually performed, and we were able to, you know what I mean, work with them, doing things. We've worked, Salvation Army runs the Rock program. Next Friday night we're doing that. So they bus kids in from everywhere and feed them and work with their parents to give them parenting skills and run a activity program for them. We've done a lot of different things. I have a whole list of groups that we've worked with. But it mattered. It matters. And they're really appreciative, and we love it.
Sure.
And then I've started to do some for area schools as well. So on top of that, we've had schools ask. So I've picked up Martin and, you know what I mean, some of the music programs locally.
Sure. So one of the things that Tammy and Silk City have sort of taught me is, a lot of times in churches that I've been part of, people are just talking about, well, what are the needs of the community? Where do we start? How do we help people? And it's just obvious here and talking to Tammy that there's a ton of stuff to do all the time. There's a huge number of needs that need to be met in the community, and you just got to go kind of do it. Get your feet wet, and then the needs will become clear, and the ways that you can use your gifts to help will become clear. Stop thinking about it and kind of just go and do it.
Right. And you really bathe this in prayer as a foundational aspect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So ideas came, but it came out of that foundation.
Absolutely. So what I would say that we don't necessarily say publicly, and I don't know who sees this podcast, but when our families dedicated the space before we built it, we literally brought in us, the people who initially prayed for us, both sets of our pastors, and a smattering of the prayer warriors from all the churches that support us, and literally just dedicated the space, and then we handed all of them Sharpies. So underneath the paint, all the prayers of the saints are sealed into the walls of the space. So it's just coded in prophetic words and scripture, because we were this is a place where God's going to do miracles in our midst, and he is going to gather a community that is so splintered and divided and do something unprecedented in our time. So we are going to be forerunners of this and lay down our lives to serve. And so that has been the mission of the place, and I think we seek to do that. We really try to just lead with our lives.
And the metaphor there is so cool. I got to bring a planning thing back into this. So they had to build this firewall between, which is a really expensive thing to do, to make sure that, God forbid, someday there was a fire there, the business on either side wouldn't burn down either. So in that firewall is also these names in Sharpie on the wall. So I think that's pretty cool.
So cool.
You're protected on both sides by both of those things.
It's so fun. So
This is great. It's just wonderful.
Thank you. It's sweet. It was one of those we were sacrificing to do it. No bank would give us loan. We literally had to walk step by step in our own finances to go, okay. And the Lord met us in 11th hour prayers over and over and over and over again. But I never ever questioned that we were doing what God was calling us to do. I knew that he just had spoken to my heart. This is the where, this is the time, this is the place. I trusted him to bless it, and it's been really beautiful to see the way his favor's been on it. Prayers have been answered. We built sweet relationships. Jay and his wife, we adore. Our mayor and his wife, we treasure. It's just been beautiful. It's been beautiful.
great thing.
We're so thankful. We're so thankful. So thank you for even.
Yeah, and obviously the place is full, and I overheard Gary say earlier you're doing well from a business point of view.
Yeah, you know, my husband is like that finance piece, so we prepared any new business. We really prepared.
The music is
Right.
going to be a challenge.
We are bringing down the Sonos. Hold on. Sorry,
There's an app for that.
recording. There's an
Bring
app for
out her
that.
phone so she can adjust the music.
Bringing down the music. We prepared as a family to be able to pay out-of-pocket salaries for the first 6 months while we got up and running, but we never needed to do it. Like the Lord, when we never really do major marketing. So like the Lord has just really blessed it, both through word of mouth and community. And like I said, you can create a space that is pretty and the product's good and the people are wonderful, but you cannot guarantee a community will embrace it. And we have been so ridiculously blessed by how well the community has embraced it. In fact, I don't even know if you know this, our first day story. So we did a soft opening Thursday. We did a real opening Friday night. Jay cut the ribbon and we did whatever. Saturday morning, I woke up to a frantic call from Sarah, who hand bakes everything in the shop, that we were out of flour, that Cisco delivered sugar instead of flour. We were totally out. So Glenn runs out to like Sam's Club to buy a bazillion things of flour, and I'm scrambling to get ready, and I show up here. The line is out the door, around the corner. There is nothing but crumbs in that little pastry case, and I am like, our Yelp reviews are tanking as I speak. So I start walking down the thing like, guys, I am so sorry. Like, we just got flour. It's good. They were like, we are just so glad you are here. Like, it is totally fine.
We just want coffee.
It is totally
We'll be
fine. No worries. First time like starting. We're just glad you're here. I was like blown away by the graciousness of the community of Manchester to what we were going through, and how thankful they just were. Someone opened a space and took the risk to do it, because it was a risk.
Yeah. Like I said, it's always been mentioned as just a community
Something people
need and something
want,
people
right.
wanted here. So, and just the name of it, Silk City.
We made the
Manchester's called
decision
this-
to tie to the, like, tethered to the community
Yeah.
was the word we used.
Right.
Like, we were like,
So, Manchester was known for making silk. The Cheney family made silk, so that's the name, and it really ties.
yeah,
the
we went through a
community.
lot of other names in the head, and then we're like, no, this is about our community. We're tethering to it,
Yeah.
so let's tie that one. Yeah, it's been
great.
sweet.
Wonderful story.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Tammy. Yeah.
And thanks for
Absolutely.
doing it. And and being led and hearing and listening to God's voice. in
I'm
terms
so
of
thankful
that,
we did that. Because on this side, I can look back and go, the number of things he promised in the beginning that have been fulfilled even to this date are beautiful. I mean, like yes, you know. So, including you, my friend.
Hey, thank you. You too, my friend. Yeah.
Appreciate him.